And karibu sana. Let's start with the overview. Where are we at as a country?
Thank you very much, Ashley.
Karibu sana.
Actually, this is a very important topic at the moment where we are today because issues of education are central in any country, because that's the only way we are able to build a workforce to be able to cater for our differing needs in the country. And the state of education in Kenya, right now, we are at a point of transition. We are moving from the old curriculum to the new curriculum, the CBC. And with that, we are also having an increase of numbers that have been admitted to university. So we are having like an exponential growth, an appetite for knowledge. And so we are having the numbers increasing every year. And with this, we are encountering challenges of financing of universities, especially the public universities, which sort of rely on government for their capitation funding to be able to meet the various expenses in learning their programs. So we are at a point where we need to start coming up with solutions that will ensure sufficient capital for running the universities, and also ability of rationalizing some of those programs to determine which ones are appropriate for our job market and the future outlook of our economy. And beyond, because we do not also train for our locals only, but we're also looking at the global arena of what is in demand in terms of education and knowledge.
Yeah, you've talked about so many things, so let's start with one at a time. The big thing that I took from your answer is, number one, we're at a point of transition as a country, and there's so much is happening. We're seeing the transition between primary and junior secondary, and we're seeing teething problems already being experienced in general. Even before we wait for those teething problems to happen at the tertiary level, are we seeing any conversations taking place? Is there preparations in place already?
Yes, actually, universities, they are going to be the final point where all these runners are going to converge at the end of the day. We may see like it is many years to come, but the rapidness of programs within the university can keep an institution extremely busy and fail to see the long-term picture of what is coming up. So at the university level, a lot of things are happening, and key among them include the training of our lecturers to equip them with competencies that are relevant for the new approach in the CBC approach, which is practical oriented. It is also oriented towards the environment where the runners are going to practice their knowledge and use their knowledge, being able to utilize local resources and being able to be relevant to whatever environment the runner is being developed within. And so universities, we are reviewing most of our curriculums in the methodologies of teaching. And any program that is being developed, particularly in Zetech University right now, and being presented for approval as CUE, we must be able to demonstrate that it has been able to align into the future of CBC.
Is that why we're seeing a number of courses being scrapped out, not particularly in Zetech, but we're seeing this happening in public universities especially?
It may not exactly be the reason, because you see, education normally is driven by events that happen outside the institutions. And globally, there are a lot of changes in technologies, changes in economic focus of countries, and global problems are also rapidly changing. We are in the time of climate change. We are in the time of unstable political settings across the globe. So when all this happens, the mindset of the developers of curriculum will need to change that it focuses on the global village, because most of our borders in terms of education have become also very porous, because with the introduction of e-learning systems, you find somebody can attend a course in Kenya, in another country, and vice versa. And for this, we need to think about providing education not just for the local demand, but also for the global needs.
Okay.
So that's where we are today.
Let's talk about, meeting or having attractive courses that meet the 21st century demand. I believe a few years back, and this is a conversation that has been happening, there's that talk of there's a mismatch between what is taught in schools and what opportunities are offered. You know, the whole issue of most students go for white collar sort of courses rather than blue collar, you know, courses, because what's happening there, everyone wants to go to jobs and they're forgetting about skills and everything. And I'm seeing right now, most universities are introducing TVET courses in actually universities. Is it the same case that is happening at ZTech? And if it is, what is the criteria of introducing these particular courses? What do you know, this is the right one, this is not the right one? We leave this to TVET, this we can add to our course as a public university or as a private university. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from.
It's like, actually you want to see, is there any divide between what universities could do,
yes, and
what TVET colleges would do? To me, I would think that it's an overlap. It's an overlap. Where the transition from one level to the next should be so seamless that one will be able to make progression and be able to see the entire line from where I begin to where we end at the top. Because if you look at education like an escalator, it means you are moving from this step to the next step. And when you look at TVET is supposed to be education system that is skill-based, because we are looking at developing of skills, competencies, and knowledge, as well as attitudes, because one of the most important aspects of education is to develop the right attitude, which will help this particular learner to get placed where they're intended to be. And so if somebody gets into the TVET program, knowing very clearly that for me, I'm going to work in a skill sector, where I'll be required to provide certain technical services, that person will not have a problem of taking a screwdriver or a plumbing tool and fixing a pipe here and there, because that's the orientation that they have been built around. And even the training itself tends to be quite hands-on. They wear a blue jacket or a blue overall to be able to go and carry out those kind of skills. So at the end of the day, they will be able to appreciate that even when I'm in the house, I should be able to demonstrate my area of training. But when it comes now to the university education, by and large, from the days that have gone by, even the 20th century to the 21st, it's always been towards managerial orientation, where the practice is to build a person who can manage other people. Somebody who can infuse managerial capabilities and be a leader. However, into the 21st century, we are having most of those attitudes disrupted, because you'll find like in the days when you used to have a secretary taking care of your letters, typing for you and all that. Now, even if you are so senior, you've got to know how to do it for yourself. And because of that, we need a paradigm shift, both in the curriculum design and the content, and also in the delivery, to ensure that our university learners are also capable to be hands-on people. So, like for instance, in my area of entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is not a theory, it's a practical subject. By the end of the program, we should be able to see somebody being able to go back to their villages or back to the town where somebody has come from, and identify the unique opportunities that exist, which you can be a solution to. And that is a point now where the curriculum change must happen, both in the teaching methodology and also in the content.
Okay. And it's a good thing you talked about entrepreneurship. You're equally an associate professor of not just entrepreneurship, but equally technology. And we're seeing that paradigm shift, as you've mentioned. There's the issue of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, if I'm not wrong. That's what it means. What exactly are you doing as an associate professor, or as a representative of the university or ZTech in general? What are you doing to promote those STEM courses? Because it seems like that's the way to go now.
Yes, that's quite true. Especially you see when we talk about problem-solving oriented education. The process of solving problems that exist within communities led one-to-one's innovations. Where innovations, we are talking about introducing new combinations that are able to utilize whatever resources that are available within your community, within your access, and convert them into products and solutions that are able to attend to needs that people have. And so when it comes now to the question of STEM, STEM is an enabler. because you realize that science in itself, it relates to the methods that are required to be able to determine and acquire knowledge that is credible, that is applicable and relevant. And over the years, everything that we have in terms of many products, they have been out of scientific work. And much of the scientific work requires that institutions implement labs, because science has to do with exploration of knowledge, being able to experiment and find solutions by trying physical products, sometimes even knowledge products like development of softwares, and being able to see whether they're able to attend to a particular problem that have existed and solved. So, and when that now extends to technology, technology now brings the techniques which are able to convert now the scientific knowledge into products, into solutions, to solve problems of agriculture, to solve problems of clean energy, to solve problems of food security and
climate change.
And climate change, and all these things that have become so serious to us. And therefore, when you combine that now and bring the aspect of engineering, because now engineering, you want now to provide the capability of quality manufacturing, which is able to meet standards for industries and able to sell not just locally but also abroad, and being able to construct whatever that requires to be constructed. So now all that put together, even with mathematics, because you know mathematics seems to be quite an important subject. And I think this should also go to schools, because one of the biggest problems that we have is when we get graduates, I mean not graduates, freshers who do not have the basic education or technical subject matter to what they are coming to learn. It becomes so difficult. Like you might find some of them have serious weaknesses in mathematics. Others may have serious weaknesses in language. So I think secondary school should be able to help us in this, make sure that they up their quality of students in the areas of the sciences. And when they come to our institutions like ZTech, we are able to grow them to the next level. Because they are already properly grounded.
Okay. Yes. There's so much that is happening in the education sector, and of course we won't be able to talk about everything.
Yes.
But even as we continue, you know, they say education is the key to success, so we have to keep on bettering our education sector in general. Even as we wind up this conversation, what do you think needs to be done in order to improve our tertiary level of education?
Well, any commitment must be followed with resources. And I really do not think that we lack the capacity to achieve world-class education in this country at the tertiary level. After all, Kenya has been very much in the forefront, both in East and Central Africa and Africa at large. And our institutions are highly respected with very credible scientists who are performing all over the world. And what we need to do is to safeguard and strengthen what already we have achieved. For this, we need to be able to look at how to resource the universities beyond the capitation from the government and the benefit of placement by KU CPS, because right now, private universities, we are the threat that that might be affected in the future. So we need to be able to sit at a round table and ask ourselves, how can we strengthen our resource capabilities as institutions, financial resource capabilities, so that we'll be able to look at how we can manage to mobilize other resources beyond simply collecting fees from the training programs, to look at contributing research, developing a symbiotic relationship with industry, for that industry can also contribute by sponsoring some of those programs, supporting R&D in the industries as well. And so that we can have action research, not just pure research, which is oriented towards somebody completing his or her degree. But now we also focus on how we can help industry solve their outstanding problems, because that will give us a great position and a great recognition out there. And we'll be able to create employment for our students, because in most of those cases, like myself, when I get assignment that has to do with an industry application that we are developing or working on or training, I always carry along my students as young researchers or younger consultants, so that we're able to create opportunities for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they can actually see what exactly is happening and how it works.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's training.
Yes.
Yeah.
Training,
Without
yes.
even getting into the job market
Yes.
yet. That's a good thing, and I think that's where we should all be headed to.
Exactly, yes.
All right, this is a conversation that I believe we will continue having,
Yes.
not today, but I will get in touch with you, and of course we'll continue having this conversation. Thank you so much, Professor Gitau Kamau, an Associate Professor of Entrepreneurship and Technology at Zetech University. Definitely, you have my word on that.
Thank you.
All right.
Enjoyed the show.
Okay,
yes,
and that's all we had for you, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us here on News Center. I'm Ashley Mazuri. I'll see you at 1 p.m.